So there's a lot on the internet right now about using AI to help assist with ADHD. In fact, Claude even came out with an ADHD assisted mode.
That's a nice trick.
And it's supposed to do a whole bunch of things that really help. But does it really help? And what does it actually do? But before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about how people are using or claiming to use AI to help with ADHD. Now, these are in no particular order, but the first one I probably see people using AI to help with ADHD the most is therapy.
You want to know what's wrong?
Now, this seems like a pretty good idea. You're saving a whole bunch of money by not having to pay a therapist, and you can basically say whatever you want, and it's private because another human being doesn't know about it. Everything you type into a chatbot is most likely used to train the next version of that chatbot. AI companies are notorious for scraping the internet for any and all data they can get their hands on. So why not use the stuff that's freely available to them? Not to mention, the company itself probably has access to everything we put in there.
She knows everything! She's coming to take my soul!
And then there's the purpose of therapy. Therapy is supposed to act like a mirror and challenge our beliefs so that we can either prove or disprove to ourselves either why we believe it or move on to a belief that serves us better. Unfortunately, AI doesn't really do that. It tends to agree with us more often than not. And if it doesn't agree, all we have to do is give a moderate push and it'll turn right around and start agreeing with us. This is usually referred to as AI sycophancy, and it's in all of the large language models. So every AI that you could use would do this. The next one I've seen is for decision fatigue. This sounds like a good idea too, because the fewer decisions we make, the less energy we spend on those decisions, and we can save that energy for other things. Unfortunately, the phrase use it or lose it is very appropriate, not just for ADHD, but for everybody. And so when we outsource our decisions, our ability to make decisions kind of goes in the toilet.
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
And then there's the whole sycophancy thing on top of that too. So really, can you trust the decisions that AI is going to be making for you? One of my favorite examples for this is someone who questioned AI saying, should I walk to the car wash to get my car washed? And AI was like, yeah, that's totally a great idea. And for those of you who didn't catch it, if you walk to the car wash, your car is still at home and really doesn't get washed. I've also seen people try and use AI for body doubling. Now this seems like a really good idea because you don't have to count on anyone else being there. You can just type into the chatbot, hey, let's body double, or something like that. Unfortunately, the point of body doubling is having another person there physically. It helps our brains keep ourselves accountable and stay on task for what we're trying to do. Now this may or may not work with AI. It depends on how your brain views it. If you see AI sitting there and on your screen the same way as your brain would see a physical person sitting next to you or across the table, then yeah, it might work. But if it's just another window on the computer screen and your brain kind of tunes it out when you start focusing on other things, then probably not.
Anyone? Anyone?
Now the last one we're going to cover on general AI use before we get to Claude's ADHD mode is task initiation. We have a really hard time overcoming that barrier to start a task. Now, I think this is where AI can really shine in helping with ADHD. You're not outsourcing your decisions to it. You're not outsourcing any kind of productivity or therapy or anything else like that. But what you're doing is you're just saying, hey, AI, get started with this thing, and then you take over, you use critical decision making and executive function to finish the task. So we don't suffer from sycophancy and we don't suffer from brain rot, and we can still use our brains and make them stronger on individual tasks and skill sets. Let's get to Claude's ADHD assisted mode. And as I read some of these features, think about what it sounds like who wrote this and, maybe why. AI chat assistant for quick updates and decision making. Visual dashboard to see all your interests at once. Energy-based project recommendations. Flexible structure, no rigid deadlines, markdown-based for easy backup and portability. So when I read this list, it sounds an awful lot to me like an executive or a marketing director at Anthropic watched a few videos on ADHD and came up with a list of how they can horseshoe Claude into helping people with ADHD, because some of these are a really bad idea.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take these one at a time. AI assistant for decision making. We don't know how sycophantic it's going to be. We don't know how good the decisions are that it's going to be making. Plus, if we outsource our decision-making capability, we tend to lose it and we can't make decisions for ourselves anymore. It's bad enough going into the grocery store and trying to choose between 27 different types of toothpaste. Why would we not want to make the decisions that really matter in our lives? Next one, visual dashboard for all of your interests. I can't really think of a better way to get overwhelmed. Okay, next one, energy-based project recommendations. Why do you need AI to tell you this? All it takes is about a few minutes of forethought and writing things down in some document somewhere or in a notebook and say, hey, when I have low energy, do this. When I have high energy, do this. That's all it really is. Okay, on to the next one. Flexible structure and no rigid deadlines. I think now AI is just starting to sound like our boss. And I think that's probably the thing that I would like to avoid above all else. I don't need AI giving me deadlines, nor do I see it as a benefit when it doesn't give me deadlines. And then the last one, it's markdown based, so you can easily back it up and move it around to other AIs or whatever. So for those of us who don't know, markdown is a kind of way of writing out text to make things bold or underlined or different colors or whatever. And it's a standard that's used all over the place, so you don't have to rely on these kinds of features in, say, a Word doc or something else. See, I don't know how much of a feature this really is.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them.
Yeah, you can back it up and you can go in after the fact and you can read things, but what are you actually moving them to? There isn't another AI that has any of these features, so why bother? Okay, so to wrap this video up, I think there are some good things that we can use AI for, but I don't think Claude's feature list of ADHD helps is really helpful. It's certainly not a draw for me, and I think a lot of these things are actually pretty detrimental when you look at them. However, if we use AI like a tool to help with things that it's actually good at, like task initiation, then we can benefit. Therapy and decision making? Horrible idea.
Agreed.
So do you use AI to help with your ADHD? What do you use it for? Have you had experience with Claude's ADHD assisted mode? Am I totally off base with all of this? Put it in the comments. Let me know what you think. I appreciate you spending some time with me, and I look forward to the next one where we engineer the crap out of ADHD.